Hey, Grishma.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me, see me?
All good. Okay, so I think Pratiti and Sanjana are participants. Can you hear me now?
Welcome everyone to the virtual welcome to all you new students. We're really happy to have you all online. The objective of today...
One second. Ashay, should we just wait for a few minutes?
Yeah, we can.
We are dealing with...
Should we just wait? Right? Sorry, but I think, I mean, how many, we don't have that many attendees yet. Should we just give people a couple of minutes?
Sure, we can.
So I think
for those who've joined in, thanks for joining in. We'll just start a few minutes.
All right, so welcome everyone to the new student virtual welcome. Obviously it's virtual this year, but don't worry, we still have a great hour planned for you with lots of interesting tips and comments and questions time as well. But before we get started, I'd like Rekha, who's the president of our CMU alumni group in Mumbai, to say a few words.
Thank you, Grishma. And welcome, a very warm welcome to all of you, and congratulations. I think it's a wonderful journey that you have just begun. We normally have this, a new student welcome in person before people fly off. This year, of course, is a little different, but I think it's just a great beginning and a wonderful journey that all of you are, embarking upon, or have embarked upon rather. And I want to kind of welcome you to CMU, as well as introduce you to our chapter. We are all members of the Mumbai alumni chapter of CMU. I'm the president, and of course, this event or any of the events that we have cannot be put together, without the help of my wonderful team of volunteers. So, of course, you heard Grishma, who has worked very hard at putting this event together. So thank you, Grishma. And Grishma is from Tepper, 2003, 2004?
Yeah. 2004.
2004, right. And we also have with us Ashay Doshi, who's from Tepper, 2019. So he's kind of the most recent grad. And we have Yash Vardhan Rajan, who's done his undergrad in civil engineering, and he graduated in 2015. So thank you very much. And we also have 3 student volunteers. So we are the alumni, and we have 3 student volunteers with us. We have Pratiti Sinha, who's doing her undergrad in computer science. We have Sanjana Jobalia, who's also doing her undergrad in statistics and computer science. And we have Rona, her master's in architecture and engineering design. So thank you all. Pratiti is right now in Mumbai. Sanjana and Ronak are in Pittsburgh, and they joined us from across the globe to welcome all of you and share their experiences, answer any questions. So the way this event is going to be is going to work is Grishma will focus on giving a few tips. She's going to give a presentation where she'll talk about some tips. The whole focus of this session is really on, what is the CMU experience actually like? What is it like to be a CMU student? And are there any things that we need to keep in mind as we kind of, go ahead and as we start actually? So that's really the focus spirit. Also to get you kind of a little acquainted with some of the alumni, some of the current students, in case you would like to reach out to any of us for any queries later on. So over to you, Grishma. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much. And welcome everyone. I'm just going to share my screen and then we'll get started with the presentation. So Rekha's gone through the agenda with you. So first we thought we'd tell you lots about CMU. Just kidding. I know you guys have done all your research on that before applying. So we're going to go straight into the top 10 tips. Everyone can see well, I guess if anyone can't see the screen, please do let us know. And just before we get started also, If you have any questions or comments or queries that come to your mind while you're hearing the presentation or during the student panel, please feel free to put them in the question box and we will work towards answering them during the Q&A session. So what we'll do is unmute you and you can ask your question at that point in time again. So please do feel free to put them in the question box while you're hearing the presentation. So again, I'll say welcome everyone. We know that university is a life-changing event and there are so many opportunities and resources available to you. However, it's not always clear what you should take advantage of. So what we wanted to do today is share with you some tips based on our learnings. Just a note, even though all the learnings I'm quoting are from one alum on each slide as we go forward, these tips are reinforced by all of our CMU Mumbai undergrads. So without further ado, let's get started with tip number 1. Vibha says, these connections you make have the potential of being your lifelong friends, future business partners, co-founders, investors, mentors, and so much more. In your classes, you'll be interacting with a range of people from all walks of life and all over the world. Take the time to get to know all of them well. Your batchmates will open up the world for you. You'll start appreciating different viewpoints and gain social and cultural awareness. When you graduate from CMU, you truly are a global citizen with cross-cultural skill sets and of course, lifelong friends. So our tip number 2 comes from Yash, who's also there at the end when we're doing our Q&A. And he says, although I studied civil engineering, I received critical advice from 2 professors who helped recognize what truly mattered most to me. I'm now working in environmental sustainability, and their guidance still applies more than 5 years after graduating. Not only are CMU professors charismatic and down to earth, they really are some of the best minds in your field of interest. Why not get to know them better? They truly are interested in knowing more about you and interacting with you on a personal level. So introduce yourself to your professors. If you come across an article of their interest, email it to them. Engage them in conversation, engage them in debate. For some of you, this may be a relationship you're not used to or not experienced in the past, but we promise you it'll be one that you'll never forget. For Yash, his professors were incredible mentors who really helped him understand his strengths and preferences. We look forward to hearing your stories in the future. So tip number 3 comes from Anshul, explore other academic interests. I went there to pursue a master's in urban design, but instead of just one, CMU opened many doors of opportunity for me. Despite being an urban design student in CFA, I took courses in Tepper, Heinz, and the College of Engineering. This gave me the opportunity to explore cross-disciplinary collaborations and make lifelong connections. You at CMU have the opportunity to choose electives not only from your department, but also at other schools across the university. I know you're all aware of the advantages of an interdisciplinary education. However, sometimes we get so caught up with our course load that we just don't find the time to explore. Start thinking about the options now. Speak to your seniors, speak to your professors to see what might be the optimal synergies based on your area of interest. We urge you to not leave CMU without exploring a few courses outside your main area. And like I said, at the end, we have 5 people who you can ask about what they did outside of their core, which would provide you with some insight as well. Tip number 4 is participate in class. If I told you that I was never comfortable speaking in public until CMU, you may not believe me, or maybe you will. I guess it'll depend on how the rest of this presentation goes. But I grew up in Hong Kong and did my undergrad degree in the UK, but it was at CMU where I felt comfortable speaking up and speaking out. For some of you, class participation may be mandatory, and even if it's not, we urge you to really take advantage of this. Culturally, we tend not to volunteer or answer questions or seek clarification in class. I urge you to work through the shyness and apprehension. Your classmates and your professors are only going to encourage you. And this is the most supportive environment for you to start building on your communication skills. So participate in class. Okay, this tip comes from someone everyone on this webinar knows of, Steve Jobs. Even though he's not an alum, we as a university and students have numerous connects with him and Apple, so I think we can allow it. I'm sure many of you have heard about the famous moment in Steve Jobs' commencement speech, again, not at CMU, where he talked about how, out of curiosity, he took a calligraphy class, which 10 years later was an integral part of the Mac. So don't close yourself to learnings that stem from curiosity. Don't look to immediately connect the dots, as you never know where your personal and your professional interests may collide. Tip number 6 comes from Mansi, who asks you to reach out to your alums in your city and of course, across the world. CMU alumni are very helpful and well-connected. For everything from internships to job interviews, they can help you open doors. So stay engaged from the very beginning and nurture those relationships. I know this is something you all must have heard from time and time again, but it is truly important. I relocated to India about 10 years ago and reached out to fellow CMU alums for guidance and mentorship. Through the networking process, I found a CMU alum who was looking to start her own business and wanted a partner. She knew me from CMU and we stayed in touch after graduating. So we immediately agreed it was a fit and launched the company. And this is just one example. CMU provides you with an incredible platform for you to network, not only through your classmates, but professors, other students on campus, and alumni. The strong connections made can open numerous hidden doors, which would not have been possible otherwise. As Mansi rightly says, it's important to meet new people, but also cultivate that relationship after you leave CMU. Tip number 7, building soft skills. While your technical issues may get your foot in the door of opportunities, it's your people skills is what opens most of the doors to come. Your work ethic, your attitude, your communication skills, your emotional intelligence, and a whole host of personal attributes are the skills that ensure your holistic development and growth. Your CMU experience is really the ideal platform to develop your soft skills. For example, you can join clubs and take leadership positions. In conjunction with a diverse course load, it really forces you to manage your time, showcase leadership, guide your team, communicate effectively, and of course, stay smiling throughout the whole process. Tip number 8 is building life skills. If you need more structured guidance, there are courses on campus that provide you with more insight and perspective. For example, Tepper had a class on negotiation skills, which my husband and I took together many years ago. And to date are still debating who was better at the class. So maybe that's not the right example, but you can read what Amit did and how it helped him taking a class and it still helps him to date. So please do take advantage of these resources if you need them. So tip number 9 also comes from a fellow alum who's in the panel, Ashe. He says, don't be afraid to put all your eggs in one basket. For example, during my MBA, I saw classmates apply to 50, 70 jobs and join all the clubs possible. I took another route for which I was called crazy. I only applied to 3 internships and only joined 3 clubs. Those are what I was truly passionate about, and it showed in the ultimate results. Some of you may have entered your graduate program after years of work experience, and some of you, it might be straight after your undergraduate degree. Each of you have different goals, objectives, so trust yourself when making a decision. If you've tried and tested other avenues and are on a firm path like Ashe, stick to it. If you're curious about what else is out there, like Anshul, or are unsure, then follow your curiosity and explore your interests. And of course, if you need clarity or any guidance, please reach out. Which brings me to our next point, that, ask for help. In addition to your classmates, your professors, the alumni network, there are a wide array of resources available to you on campus. So if you need help, please don't hesitate to ask. I know the school shared with you a number of links, but here are just some more resources that you can take advantage of. There's the CBDC, which is the Career and Professional Development Center. There's the Handshake, which is the online recruiting platform. We also have individual career centers at each of the colleges and schools, for example, at Heinz or Tepper. And then there's the Office of International Education, the OIE, if you have any questions related to immigration, regulation, visa. So there really are a whole host of people and places you can go if you need guidance. So our presentation comes to an end. I hope you found these 10 tips useful. What we'd like to now do is move on to the student panel. As Rekha mentioned, we have 3 students who you saw earlier in the screen who are going to give you their tips and their insights. We have Pratiti, Sanjana, and Ronak. You can see their profile here, but I'm going to stop sharing screen, and what I'm going to do is ask them to introduce themselves and give a little bit of their background and what they've experienced during their first year. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Pratiti, Sanjana, and Ronak.
Hi everyone, my name is Pratiti and I'm a junior majoring in computer science and minoring in business at CMU. I'm in my 3rd year, so I've already finished 2 years and I'm really excited for my last 2 years. So something that I really realized pretty late about CMU is that you can do as many interdisciplinary things as you want. I didn't go into CMU knowing that I would do a business minor or that I would pick up an interest in human-computer interaction research, but CMU gives you all the opportunities that you can possibly want as long as you explore them. So what I noticed, my professors were very open, having conversations with me and talking to me about potential opportunities in either teaching or in research. And as I saw on the tips before, I also joined a lot of clubs in my first year thinking that I would have a lot of time and I should be involved in everything. But I quickly realized that I didn't have the bandwidth for all of that. So I chose, I think, 3 clubs as well to specifically be engaged in as well. Yeah, I'm in Mumbai right now because of the pandemic. So I came back in March when school went online. And so I've done the spring, summer, and now I'm doing the fall online. And I can talk about that later if anyone has questions about the online experience and the time zone difference and anything else. And I'll pass it on to Sanjana now.
Thank you, Pratiti. Hi, I'm Sanjana. I'm a statistics and machine learning major, and I have an additional major I'm trying to complete an additional major in computer science. Yeah, I'm a junior at CMU, and so this is my 3rd year. I think a couple of things. One of the main things I think is really important when you come to college is that you join a lot of clubs and you try to make as many friends as possible. Especially for the online format, I think making friends is even more important because classes, it's so hard as it is, and just having people to talk to and to work with is really important. So I think especially in the online format, I would think that trying to reach out to different people is very important. Yeah, and I think also from my experience, I'm a part of a Bollywood fusion dance team on campus. We're not really doing anything this year because of the pandemic, but I think that was a very integral part of my entire experience in the first 2 years. And I think that was very important. And yeah, if anyone has any other questions, otherwise I'll pass it on to Ronak.
Everyone, my name is Ronak Modi. I'm doing my master's in architectural engineering construction management. It is actually an interdisciplinary course between architecture and civil engineering. So as everybody said, you should take that advantage that you actually can go and take courses from CEE, Heinz, EPP, or TEPA, and which I think I was pretty happy when I got in. One of the tips that I would probably give you all is don't be afraid to ask questions to your professors. I think they're very, very, very helpful. Even if it is a stupid question, it is okay. And they do address it knowing that you may not know it. So just do not be afraid of it. And another thing that I would probably talk about is do not get too overwhelmed when you actually get into your first semester. If you want to take an overload and take more than 54 units, go ahead and take it. You got it. I mean, just make sure you take full advantage of all the different courses that are available in your plateau. And if in case you have any other questions, I'm already in Pittsburgh. Anything about online courses, you all could just message me. Thanks.
Thank you so much. It was really interesting to hear what you guys are doing. But so if we can open it maybe up to the panel, to our attendees, do they have any questions that they would like to ask either the three current students, or we also have Yash and Ashay online as well. So if you have any questions for alums or our current students, please let us know. If you can either raise your hand or just type in a question and we'll unmute you, and then we'll have you can ask it directly to us. So any questions? Nothing so far.
Maybe I'll jump in and ask a few questions. I've graduated, but I think these questions were pertinent when I was going there as well, when I was getting into CMU and going there. So I think maybe some of the current students can provide like a better answer. So guys, when I wanted to get into CMU, when I got into CMU and I came to Pittsburgh, how was that experience? What do you think were things that you found very helpful to do, other than of course meeting your friends, but exploring the city? And what do you think were the things that you did, on campus that were like really great, or something that were worth mentioning?
Well, for me, when I came to Pittsburgh, I made full advantage of the fact that we had free bus passes, or like we could go on the bus all the time. So I would just go and travel to different places. I would go to the waterfront. I think it's really nice, and I think I would encourage that, to like just go and explore the city, because a lot of times students stay in their dorms and they don't realize how much the city has to offer. Yeah.
Nice. Pratiti,
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely did that as well. I took a lot of advantage of the bus system. Other than that, I think I really liked the weather in Pittsburgh. Everyone had told me like a lot of scary stuff, that it's going to be really cold and you're going to hate it and stuff, but it was really good. I really liked it. And then I got to see my first snow, and that was awesome. Yeah, other than that, I think the food around campus also really surprised me. I don't know if you guys are already in Pittsburgh or you haven't been yet, but like we're on Forbes Avenue, which has a lot of food places, like 5 minutes walk from campus. And also there's Craig Street, which is even closer than Forbes Avenue. And that also has a lot of great food. And I really like that also.
Oh, and speaking about food, and speaking about food, if you guys ever come to Pittsburgh, you should go to the Underground and order an ultimate brownie. It's really, really good.
It's amazing.
It is.
Now we're definitely going to make that trip, right?
Yeah.
Ronak, you want to add to it?
I mean, there's one thing that I think I sort of messed up, and I think y'all should learn from it, is I did not really explore a lot when I came here, because as soon as I got in, I was like, okay, I need to take this, I need to take these lectures, I need to do this. And I got too engrossed in studies, which I feel that I missed out on actually exploring. And now I'm actually doing it in my last semester. So do not really miss out on it. It's good to study, but it's also good to have fun. Like, do not get too overwhelmed with the pressure.
Absolutely. Very true. Very true.
Grishma, we have some questions come in.
Yes.
So I think the first question is from Nirmal Patil. And his question is, what are the clubs at CMU and which clubs do you think a student must join? Clubs, any of you, which one of you would like to take it?
So I think the attendees are largely graduate students, so I can kick it off and then pass it on to the undergrads as well to see like how y'all thought about it. I think more than pointing to specific clubs, I think you should think about why you want to join what club. Like, what are your interests that make you want to join a club? So when you go in, there's going to be a lot of overwhelming information that there's going to be a business and technology club. There's going to be product management club, consulting club, investment banking club. But I think to think about what really drives you, even in your career as well as in your personal life, makes it much easier. So for me, the way I thought about it was I joined one professional club, which was business and technology club. I joined one social club, which was SABA, South Asian Business Association, and I became president. And then third one, I joined a sports club. So the way this held up for me was like, okay, I explored my professional goals seamlessly because the club had great connections. I explored my social goals through SABA, and sports, keep the camaraderie alive and keep you fit during school, which is sometimes hard to do. So that's how I thought about it. And so take advantage divide the clubs based on your interests and then look at that. So I don't know if Yash, Sanjana, etc. want to add to that.
If I could add to it, Ashay, sorry, I don't know if anyone was, but also if you have an interest and that club isn't there on campus, you can always speak to the right people in your department or admin or wherever and start that club as well. So as Ashay rightly says, there's no club that you must join, but I think if you join clubs which align with your interests, then you would really maximize on the experience. And if it's not there, then start one. They're very supportive of you starting something which you find interesting as well. Anyone else want to ask more? We have more questions. We can move on to the next question. Rika?
Yeah, the next question is, from, I don't know the full name, but is given as S. Bish, because his email ID has come. And his question is, his or her question is specifically for the online format, are there any internal social platforms where you can connect with students across disciplines and, different programs? So,
do any of you?
Would any of you have an idea?
No.
Are you going to talk about beers? Sorry, go ahead, Sanjana.
I mean, the things that I would say is there are a lot of Facebook groups. There are a lot of different places where you can talk to everybody at CMU. And if you do join clubs, I think they have their own internal social platform, or not platform, but they have their own groups that you can form. Yeah.
So Sanjana, to add to that, so I know you did a couple of years on campus in-person classes and now you all have transitioned to online. So what has that transition been like? And through your online format for classes, have you been able to do breakout groups and meet new people, similar to what you would do in the class? So how has that transition been and what have you done to adopt to that?
So the transition was tough because especially in the spring, because it was in-person class and suddenly you have to transition to online. I think, but this semester, I'm actually preferring the online format. It's really easy though to not have the motivation to get onto your class, but or to your Zoom link, because it's so easy to just forget about it. But I think to maximize it, I just think you should try to stay motivated. The online format actually helps you a lot because you can record lectures, you can rewatch them. It's not possible in person. And in terms of trying to reach out to people, again, I think it was the most important thing for me to try to reach out to people who even though if I just met them one time in freshman year and I see their name pop up on my Zoom link in the class, I would reach out to them and be like, okay, I'm in your class, we can work together or whatever.
add to Sanjana's point, there are many resources in terms of the technical resources. You need to make sure that, the switch for me was slightly difficult, but at the same time, CMU does give resources. You can connect to the servers in CMU if your laptop or desktop cannot take the load. So it becomes easier for you to work on any of the heavy files that you're working on. So just check out those resources and it'll help you in the whole online studies.
I think also any online social platform, I think that was also the question. So of course, one is connecting to people for studies and assignments and collaborating on different things, which is of course very important, but any insights on any kind of, because some of these are new students, right? So they want to, get to know students. So something on that also, if one of you could, throw some light on any ways you're using to, engage, or where new students could maybe, meet one another.
I think there are a bunch of Facebook groups for this. And I know that every year, at least for the undergrads, and I guess also for the grads, there's like a Facebook group for all the new students from across the world to join. And then people post their introductions and like find roommates and stuff. I guess the same thing's happening now, but also there's specifically for classes, there should be a piazza or something like that for each class. And if you're looking specifically to make friends or reach, I know it's hard to reach out because like it's your first semester and you've never met anyone of these people before, but I guess that's the best option at this point.
Yeah, don't be scared of dropping a message to any random person. Also, every department have their own kickoff meeting or a get together initially, which they do organize. So maximize on that.
And as Sanjana mentioned earlier on as well, right? All the clubs, if you're part of any club or organization, like I think you just had I think they had a virtual fair just recently as well. So, if you're part of those clubs, I'm sure they'll have social meets and events to help you kind of engage with people who are also part of that club. Should we move on to the next question?
Yeah, the next question is by Akshay, who's asked, how is the quality of the classes on the basically on online in the I think maybe they could just share their experiences in terms of online learning.
I actually found the transition in spring really good because I had a really tough semester in the spring and I was taking on a lot of classes, and the transition to online meant that I had to I didn't have to walk to class, and I could just log on to class from my laptop, and it saved a lot of time. And so I was able to actually take on a second mini course that I wasn't planning to take because of all the extra time that I had. I did move back to India during the spring semester, so that caused a little bit of trouble. But other than that, I think the quality of learning, the professors are doing everything that they can to make the courses still as engaging as they can, and the material is exactly the same. They are a bit more understanding of the situation because these are weird times, but everybody's really supportive, and the professors are really trying to make the class as normal or feel as if it would in person as possible.
So if I can add to that question, so how do you all approach class participation? So I know, at least in the MBA format, class participation was everything. And I'm sure you're taking some classes that require class participation. So how have the professors adjusted to it? How have the students adjusted to it? What's the experience been like?
For me, at least, the participation has mostly been through breakout rooms. And yeah, actually breakout rooms are also a way that you can meet new people, because you're forced to turn on your video and talk to people in the breakout room, and you may keep in touch with them later, but maybe, it's a good way for you to meet some new people and talk to people. And they also do it every class, so you probably meet new people every class. Other than that, for participation, we have, I guess, not so much interaction. We have polls and stuff. Maybe for grad students, it's different. Yeah.
Oh, also, I wanted to add, there's this one class that I'm taking, which is Introduction to Machine Learning. And I thought the way that they're doing participation is really cool. They divided us into houses at the beginning. So they had a sorting hat and they divided us into houses. And so we have a Slack channel with our houses. And every single time when we join the Zoom link for the lecture, we have to write the name of our house, and we get divided into those houses during those breakout rooms, and we had to discuss the answers with them, which I thought was really cool.
One of my other classes has also started using a platform called gather.town. I don't know if anyone's used that before, but it's you kind of have your own avatars and you move around. It's like a video game basically, where you have your own avatar and you can dress it however you want. And as soon as you get next to somebody on the screen, your video starts and you can like talk to them as if you were actually in person and actually like going next to the person. That's really innovative, and I think it got started by a CMU alum or something. And yeah, it's really cool.
Okay.
Great.
Should we go to the next question?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, okay. There's one question on sports, which is, are graduate students allowed, to be part of the football team? And also, I think same person who's anonymous wants to ask if there's a cricket team.
So I think I'll take a shot at that. I was an undergrad in college, and the undergrad had their the varsity teams are primarily just for undergraduates. So the graduate, they're also like football or soccer clubs that you can join and participate. And for that, there's no age requirement. You don't have to be an undergrad. It was a mix of masters kids and also undergrad kids. So that gives you an opportunity to play games and be competitive if that's what you're looking for. As far as I remember on the cricket side.
Is there a cricket team?
Yeah, as far as on the cricket team, I think there is a social club for cricket where people join in the club and they kind of organize certain games. There is no, I don't think there's a formal organization where you compete with other schools, but I think they kind of break into small teams and they play cricket on the fields at CMU. So I think, I don't know if that's still the case, but that used to be the case. My guess is it's pretty much the same.
I'll add to that. So yeah, Yash is right. So there's no formal cricket team as such, but we were able to, I was like, president of South Asian Business Association. So we used to organize cricket whenever the weather was good and it wasn't snowing. We were organizing cricket games on the field. There are local leagues in Pittsburgh. So they're like, outside of CMU as well, there are people who organize and play cricket with University of Pittsburgh, CMU. So that is outside of the main school program, but you can get in touch. Like once you go there, once you start living on campus, you'll be able to see where the local leagues are at as well. Otherwise you can always organize your own cricket match on the lawn. So you can take initiative.
Okay, thank you, Asha and Yash. Next question is around jobs and internships. So I think Nirmal has a question asking whether how much in advance do you have to start looking for jobs and internships? You need 6 months, 8 months. What's the time period? And also, just to talk a little bit, he wanted to know a little bit about your experiences in looking for internships. So, in fact, I think Sanjana was mentioning that this is internship time and this is the season that they are all looking for internships. So I think it'd be nice to hear your experiences.
I'll probably jump into this. I feel that you need to at least start 3 months before you actually go for an internship. I mean, you really need to start it. If you're joining in recently, there are career fairs that you should be attending in the fall semester itself, or if in case you are going to intern for the summer, you need to start like from fall to at least start making your contacts, to finding out what are the jobs available, what are the companies out here, and then start aggressively exactly like 3 months before, 3-4 months before.
Okay, thank you, Lorna.
Yeah, I would say if I was looking, so right now I'm looking for an internship for 2021, and you have to start right now, like you have to start in the fall when you want to look for next summer. And I think with the online format, it's even more important to just apply everywhere online, because now career fairs are also, when you go, like, okay, so there was a career fair a couple of days ago called TOC, and it's Carnegie Mellon's, like, it's the biggest career fair that they have. And most of the companies, while you get to talk to the recruiters, they will give you the online link. So I think it's very important to just keep on applying online. There are also a lot of career fairs that are happening online now. For women especially, there's this career fair called Grace Hopper, and Carnegie Mellon, a lot of the departments give a lot of free tickets and you can apply. And so, yeah, so you just have to like be aware, or like try to keep in touch with your professors about like all the resources that Carnegie Mellon has. They have a lot of different things for career fairs outside too.
Okay.
I can add real quick on the MBA side, Rekha, which is, so I think Nirmal's student question was for graduate students, and he's right that graduate students a lot of the time started networking even before they entered the program. So one thing that's really powerful about the Carnegie Mellon brand is that once you're accepted and you know you're going, you can start researching companies that either A, come to CMU, or B, exist within the realm, and start reaching out to people in those companies as well, saying, hi, I'm Nirmal, I'm a Carnegie MD, I'm an incoming Carnegie Mellon student, I want to learn more about the company. So that in itself, with your brand, leverages for you to get a foot in even before you step foot on campus. And that was the best advice I got from my mentor, was that you can get focused on your search much earlier. And having said that, for graduate programs, they're shorter programs unlike the undergrad programs. So the more clarity of thought you have as to which direction you want to go, the better. And once you set foot on campus, you have already a bunch of people you've reached out to in different companies. They already know you, and then you can start your search in a more directed form. Otherwise, you can always come to campus, explore your options. That's also a way. But given that the timeline is only like 15-month, 18-month courses for most of the graduate courses, it's good to start early and build your foundation.
Okay, thank you, Ashin. So, the next question is from an anonymous attendee who's really asked, his question is, how are online CMU classes different from a good MOOC? So, who would like to take it?
I mean, you probably can't have a relationship with your professor in a good MOOC. Also, you can ask for their advice and get input on your future career path as well. If you want to do research in the future, you can ask them if they have space in their lab, or if you're interested in a project that they're working on. I also think that the assignments are a lot more involved, and that probably helps in understanding the subject a lot better. So yeah, that's what I have to say on that.
Any of you have anything to add, Ronak or Sanjana?
I think actually even they've all spoken about the breakout rooms and the class participation and reaching out to different people, right? That is again something which is probably more specific to being at the university, right? A part of the university.
I agree. It's not just the classes, right? It's when you're at university, it's you're in classroom and what you're gaining outside of the classroom. All the things that we've been talking about for the past, I think, half an hour, 40 minutes, which, it's the whole thing. We can't just look at one thing in isolation, but the breakout rooms, the extracurriculars, the career services, the support, the alumni network, being able to take courses from other departments, just the whole interdisciplinary and interconnected nature of everything you do during your time there, right? That is just something that is invaluable. You can't really, put points or to it. It's just the whole complete experience during your time there, and even after. All of us alum have spoken about how we're still reaping the benefits of whatever we learned and whatever we experienced during our time at CMU. So, even with the professors, we're still engaging with them, still reaching out to them, and everyone that we interact with. So I think, just to look at the class in isolation isn't really giving the full picture.
Yeah, if I could add on to both what you said and what Prateeki had mentioned. I think for me, especially, I know I wasn't exposed to the online courses, but for me, connecting with professors was just the best asset I could have asked for at CMU. From a perspective of either if you want to be a TA or want to do something with helping other students learn, or you want to do something in forms of research, or you're just looking for a good mentor. Most of these professors, they've had massive experience in the past with many students from many different backgrounds, and they provide valuable advice. And I think all of those things become a really big beneficial point for you, not only at college, but once you graduate or once you're applying for jobs. I know for many of my friends who were applying it didn't matter what field they were in, most of them participated in some form of teaching or some form of research work. And it really benefited them because it helped them stand out in their applications when they apply to jobs. So if now, even though it's online, I think now would be the best time out of all times to kind of connect with these professors, because for them, they're not being reached out to by hundreds of students as they normally would be. So if they are looking for people who they want help for, or they want to work with, now is probably a better time than any other to really take advantage of that. So I think if you have the opportunity through your breakout rooms or your classes, definitely take it and see if there's something you can do with your professors, even if it's just general advice, and even if it has nothing to do with the class, right? So I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, we were in a class of fluid mechanics back in 2013, and now the professor and him are working on a research in blood transfusion. Still somewhat related to fluid mechanics, but completely different from what we actually studied in class. So, and that relationship was really formed by him speaking to his professor, and that's where they are now, and they're building a company around that. So just another thought, for people who want to connect with professors, now is probably the best time.
Yeah, sure. I think that the great points. And one more thing I can add, actually talking to another undergrad who started at another school, who used to do a lot of online courses to learn on Coursera, but now is doing class. He said the number one thing was accountability. Was when you're doing a move, you're by yourself, you're accountable to yourself, you're on your own timeline. When you're doing online course from your school, you have your groups, you have your assignments, you have responsibility that keeps you accountable and that keeps you on the ball. So I think that's that structure and that accountability is a big difference. Taking learning by yourself on Coursera versus taking an online class. That's it.
So, the next question is kind of related to this one. I think Yash has, and even Ashay, both of you have spoken about, the whole thing about relationship with professors. Right now, for people going from India, it's a kind of a new concept, right? Because in our Indian system, we don't generally probably interact as much with us. So the question is around saying that, what do you mean by, engaging with professors, and how do you build relationships with professors, and what does this really mean? What should the person do, right? So you're new to CMU, you've never been there, and you've started classes now. I mean, if I want to build a relationship with a professor, what should I do? I think that is the question. So I think, Yash, maybe you could take this since you have started off. I mean, I can add my 2 bits, but I think it's better that the information comes from you.
Sure. I mean, ways to connect with your professors, there are quite a few. Of course, if it's related to what you're learning in class, just asking them a question that you found important or worth asking, that's a great way to start off that connection. And then take that and say, hey, I'm interested in taking these things from this class and applying them to different industries or different parts of my life. How do you think I could approach that? And I think that plays a very good way as a bridge to kind of form those relationships or connections. The other way of going about it is just to say, okay, I'm finding something particularly difficult. Could you spend some time with me to explain or work with me on this? And I think many professors are very open to doing that or helping you understand it better. What they consider office hours when you go on campus, I think it's a pretty similar approach I would imagine now as well. So even with TAs or teaching assistants, I think that could be a segue. So if you have a connect with a TA, maybe that's easier to do as well. When they have their office hours or you want to talk to them, and they can be a connect that you use to go ahead and talk to a professor, and that could be a way to do it as well.
And Rekha, I can add real quick to that. So professors at CMU, especially, it's a research school for most of it. They do 6 months of teaching and 6 months of research, right? So if you want to really engage with the professor and you want to build a relationship, go ahead and like pass through the research that they've done, find something that's really interesting that you want to talk about, send them an email. They will always respond to that. That shows that you're interested, shows that you've done your research, and shows that you want to apply it. And you'll be surprised, like as much as the career center is connected to employers, so are your professors, because they've taught so many of these industrial leaders who graduated from CMU. They are in touch with all these organizations for their research. So if you really strike a chord and they have the confidence in you that they want to recommend you either for a job or even to a startup or whatever it is, this is a very, very good way to do that. So Yash's point is very well taken.
And if I could just add to it, it's not, you don't have to form a relationship with all the professors, right? There are going to be a few that either are aligned with your thoughts, or the research is something you're interested in, or you just seem to click with, there's some kind of connect when you hear them speak. So again, this relationship with professors, obviously we're not asking that you dig 10 levels deeper with all of them, but there will be a few you naturally are warm towards or feel, and those are the ones you need to cultivate further.
Yeah, I think so. And in fact, this research point was something I was going to bring up, but Asha brought it up, because I think the main thing is really when you get into school, especially for grad students, I think you probably already have some kind of an idea of your area of interest. So I think that alignment becomes easier, right? If you're in a particular, stream of whatever, computer science or whatever it may be, you will have an idea of, your rough areas of interest and what you want to explore further. So that may become a kind of easy way to, connect with a professor. And even if you don't have an idea, or if you're an undergrad, whatever is kind of, kind of whatever you're interesting, explore your, like Grishma said, right? Explore use that as a way to build that bridge with the professor. Make a big difference. And the professors, I think, in CMU are extremely open to students interacting. I think in India, we are often very hesitant to reach out to professors. And there are times when maybe we are very wary and we feel professors may not respond, or they're too busy, or they're too kind of, they're the big guys, we shouldn't approach them. But it's not like that at CMU, and they like it actually, and they welcome students approaching them. So please don't hesitate at all.
I can add.
I think yeah, sorry, there are no other questions. Sorry, you wanted to add? I think somebody just put in.
Yeah, Ronak wanted to add, I think, to this.
I just wanted to add to Rekha's point was they usually have slots. And they do encourage you to take it. They or every professor have their own online calendar wherein you can actually book slots. And even if it is like, I'll give you an example. There was something, I'm learning Python and I do not know anything about Python. I've never done coding previously. So I just to even start off with my final project, to have some sort of an idea, I just booked like a 15-minute slot. Just to know how can I actually proceed, and it was pretty helpful. So they do encourage these sort of interactions.
I can give an example if there's time.
Go for it.
Yeah, sure, Pratiti, go ahead.
Okay. So I actually reached out I knew that I wanted to do human-computer interaction research, and so I went on to the HCII website, where they have profiles of all the faculty members and the research that they're interested in. And I just found like 5 or 7 professors who I thought, whose research interests matched something that I would be also interested in. And I sent them emails asking them if I could meet with them to see if they had any available positions in their lab. And like all of them responded, and all of them had meetings with me. And I was able to find research for like 3 semesters from that. Another example is like when I took a business class. I took it in my freshman year, and I didn't understand one concept really well. So I went to the professor's office hours to ask about it. And we talked for about like 15-20 minutes about the specific problem. And then I like kept going back because of any tests coming up or anything like that. And by the end of the semester, I'd formed a relationship with the professor. So he asked me to come back and TA the class the next semester. So it's very possible to do it. And I'm really shy and I could do it. So if I could do it, then I'm sure everyone else can also do it.
Rika, we have time. We have one more question that was
Yeah.
asked.
Yeah, there's just one more question. Let's just kind of take this. I think this will be the last question, which is related to housing. So any kind of do's and don'ts for housing and on campus versus off campus. I guess this is more relevant for undergrads, but so yeah, Pratiti, do you want to take this?
Yeah, so for I've only lived on campus so far, but I guess when I go back in the spring, I'll be living off campus. I don't really have too much to add to that. I guess I just looked on the CMU housing website, and we got assigned a building. We had to put in preferences, and you got to maybe select your roommate through that, but you give like 5 or 6 preferences, and then they just choose. I guess it's random, but I'm not really sure. But all the housing, the dorms are pretty good, and I don't know about off campus yet, but I'm gonna have to look for that soon. So
yeah, I think Ronak, maybe you want to quickly add. I think she's put in a link on the chat box, but Ronak, you want to just quickly talk about your experience with rental housing?
With rental housing, actually, I was pretty lucky because I already have a friend in Pittsburgh and he helped me out. So if in case, what you can do, I mean, nowadays, because of the situation, they do give you an online tour of the house. So you can do that. It's encouraged. Otherwise, you can check out Trulia. It is one platform wherein you can check what are the rentals available. The areas that usually people choose are between Shadyside, Oakland, and Squirrel Hill. So these are the 3 areas that they choose. Squirrel Hill is cheaper and quieter. Shadyside is, you see a lot of people around, and it's slightly higher than Squirrel Hill, and Oakland is pretty close to CMU and Pitt. So according to your preferences, you can check it out. But Trulia is a platform that you can actually see for your rentals.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing to that. I mean, for those people who are going off campus, just remember that in the winter, it gets really cold. I think in India, we don't really have seasons as much as maybe just rainy season and summer. But out there, it gets relatively cold over the winter. So if you're looking for housing off campus, try to make sure that either it's a walkable distance or there's a bus that connects to campus. They tend to run very regularly during the week. And I think there's CMU buses that also do run till pretty much late in the evening during the weekdays and towards a certain time over the weekend. So my suggestion would be to find something along the routes of the buses that pass by CMU. I think there's the number 61 A, B, C, or D. Those are the bus numbers. So if you want to look for a house that connects via bus, I think and somewhere that's close to a bus stop that goes to CMU, I think that may be a solid bet because you'll avoid spending time in the cold.
Or Yash, find someone who has a car to be a flatmate.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah.
There's actually one more thing that I would like to add in. Like every rentals there, just try and find out some place where, make sure you have your budgeting right in terms of utilities, because that is a separate thing. And some of these new students who come here sort of get a shock or do not know that there's something called as utilities, which is an extra added cost besides the rent. And also there are places where the rent utilities are included in the rent. So just keep this in mind, I guess.
And to add to that, one mistake I made, what you can do, because a lot of the graduate courses are either 18 months or so, make sure you negotiate with your rental office for the timeline of your lease. A lot of the times, like you've signed a 2-year lease, but you're not there for either you're not there during the summer for your internship, which most likely might not be, or once you finish, you'll still have 3 months on your lease that they'll ask you to pay for. So you're in the position to negotiate that because there's so much housing available. Make sure you do that. We didn't do that. We had to go through a lot of heartache to save that money. But while other people did that, they negotiated only a 9-month lease. So just do that because they will be willing to do it. But once you sign that contract for 1 year, it's very, very hard, close to impossible to break that.
I think that's it, right, Rekha? Do we have any more questions? Maybe
No.
before
I think
closing
we're done.
it out, I think before we close it out, maybe everyone could just give one final tip that out of everything, the one thing they would recommend everyone definitely do, or just one final tip before we say goodbye. Does that work? Is that possible? Yeah. Ronak, Pratiti, you guys want to start, or do you want Yash and Ashay to be first? Since Yash and Ashay are unmuted, we'll start with them.
All right, I'll go first. I think the biggest tip or piece of advice I can give you is like try and reach out to as many people as you can. Like if you're a shy person, I understand that. I used to be a shy person, and I think the thought that everybody's going there for the first time together really made it easy for me to try and reach out to new people and make friends. And you'll be able to get past with a lot of things. So let it be academic or non-academic. You will have, I think the whole experience is far more enjoyable when you have a bunch of friends and a bunch of people you can look up to and speak to or get advice from. So definitely make the effort to connect as much as you can and try and be as encouraged to do so. So I think that would be me. Yeah.
And to follow on Yash's cue, the fact that he volunteered to go first, I think that is a great lesson. And the tip I would give everyone, we called it the permission to go first. Like, don't be afraid to ask that first question. Don't be afraid. Like, in class or now on Zoom, you can raise your hand. People won't raise their hand till they see other people raise their hand or ask a question. Have that confidence to ask that first question, no matter how dumb you think it is. Most likely it's not. And usually you set the standard for the questions that come or the comments that follow or the discussion that happens after that. So go ahead and ask that first question.
Ronak?
Yeah. I would say don't, I think I have said this multiple times, don't be overwhelmed, just go explore. I think make sure you have it in your agenda to go to at least one new place every week and try out different restaurants, go to different places. You should, I think it's just an experience that you should have.
I would say take advantage of all of the interdisciplinary stuff that CMU has, and not just your own core courses. And also eat at Chipotle, it's awesome. And it's like very close to campus.
Rekha, anything from you?
So I think, Rishma, why don't you go and then maybe I can just close it up with my comments and my tip.
So I think for me, it was, I was one of the students who was so worried about the academics. I never experienced, or I didn't experience as much as I should have, everything outside of the classroom. So I would say take advantage of whatever things that are out there that are the best fit for you, whether it's traveling, restaurants, seeing new places, clubs on campus, sports facilities on campus, classes, in other departments, whatever that you want to do. Definitely, I think take advantage of those things that the CMU has to offer and Pittsburgh has to offer outside of the classroom as well.
I'm sorry, but I think there's one thing that when I actually gave that advice of going out, I forgot that there's COVID going on. And the whole situation out here with the whole going out is the buses are running. There's no harm in going to open places. And there is a possibility for you to go to restaurants with outdoor seating. So take advantage of those specific restaurants, and you can also take a takeaway. So, but do try new things out here.
Thank you, Rana.
I think, I'd just like to summarize, I think what everyone has said, and what I just feel is, especially, and this is especially true, I was a master's student, and I think for most people who are master's students, you're there for a very short time. I think it's really about kind of just living each day to its kind of fullest, right? And taking advantage of all the opportunities, whether they're academic, non-academic, networking, it's across the board, actually. It's the same principle which applies everywhere. Make the most of each class or make the most of your life outside, and make sure that you kind of be balanced in the whole process, because the academic pressure is very high. It is overwhelming, but you need to kind of just, try to quickly find your balance and figure out, how you can really get a very holistic experience, especially if you're there just for, 1.5, 2 years, like me. how can you make the most of that time? So I think that's the question you should ask yourself every day. Okay. And once again, thank you very much to all my wonderful, to, of course, first to Ronak, Sanjana. I think Sanjana has dropped off, but Ronak, Sanjana, and Pratiti for, joining and, waking up early on a Saturday morning. Both of you joining us. Thank you. Thank you to Grishma, Asha, and Yash for being, here, organizing and, answering all the questions. So thank you very much, and all the best to all of you on this journey. And please do, again, don't hesitate to reach out to any of us if you need anything.
Thank you. Time to watch the IPL.
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.